Hello? I can't hear you. A distinguished looking bald guy with a beard. Yeah, his name's Paul. It's for you. It's President of the United States. I mean, for some people, I think that would be good news. Depending on your politics, maybe not. I don't know. Did any of you really think that that was the President of the United States on the phone? No, you knew it was a joke. You knew it was a... but what if that really was the President on the phone? You probably still would have thought that it was a joke, right? I mean, what's the likelihood of the President of the United States calling for Paul, not on his phone, but my phone? And of course, I mean, for me to have that ringtone, I kind of had to set it up in advance. I mean, there had to be some suspension of disbelief there for even that. But yeah, I mean, the President of the United States calling on a cell phone randomly, somebody saying, hey, you won the lottery today. Good news takes time to sink in. We know this studying how the brain works, that it can take up to, not always, but it can take up to hearing good news 7 times for it to sink in, for you to really believe it, for you to actually live into it emotionally. And the reason why this is because our bodies and our brains like to keep an even keel. We don't like to be kind of thrown all over the place and disrupted. We kind of like our comfort zone. In fact, sometimes we'll even choose, the evil we know over the evil we don't know because we just get comfortable with what we know. I mean, this isn't ideal, but I'll stick with it. I mean, but yeah, there's a great opportunity. Yeah, but you know what? As much as I might not be happy now, I'm kind of fear or don't want to face change. What if it makes things even worse? Psychologically, it can take up to 7 times for good news to sink in, or any message for that matter to sink in. Advertisers know this. That's why they run commercials so often. Our politicians know this. That's why they spend so much money on political ads. This is true for all occasions except one: bad news. If I got a call on my phone, and God forbid, somebody had told me that a loved one of mine had died, or called me on my phone and told me somebody else's loved one died and I was to hand my phone to them, wouldn't be a very nice joke, now would it? And why wouldn't it be a very nice joke? Because we only need to hear bad news once for it to sink in. To hear that bad news, as unlikely as it may have been, no matter how it's presented, there is a part of us that truly entertains it, that takes it seriously, even if we know it's supposed to be a joke. I mean, what if my phone rang? Dun, 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 dun. It's for you. No, keep that thing away from me. What a cruel thing, Pastor, you did. Well, yeah, because every one of us in this room would be like, well, why is that? Because, as we've evolved, back on our ancestor, back on some savanna that has predators on it, if your brain waits until the 7th time you hear the lion roar, it might have been too late 2 roars ago. And so it only takes once, and you perk up. Why do you seek the living among the dead? Why do you seek the living among the dead? The women went to the tomb, and on one level, they were looking for the dead. They had brought the ointment and the spices that they had prepared to prepare Jesus' body to anoint. But deep, deep down, that's not what they wanted to do. Deep, deep down, they would have preferred to not have to go to the tomb. Deep, deep down, they would have preferred for Jesus to be alive. They're looking for Jesus. And the 2 men who appeared, the other Gospels say angels, tell the women, why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here. How often do we seek life among the dead? How many messages out there in this world that surround us and hold death in front of our faces, and ironically use that to motivate us toward life? If you buy commercial, just popped into my head, I don't know, maybe there's something about this one commercial. So many of the anti-aging things out there are geared towards women, but I saw one on TV recently geared towards men. This one application thing, it's just a cream, you put it on your face twice a day, that a guy says, and I mean, maybe they've discovered, well, maybe men want to look young too. Make you look handsome. Get rid of those splotches and those wrinkles. Tighten up those bags underneath the eye. One thing does it all. 5 in 1 or something. It's hanging our mortality in front of us. If you eat this, you'll have vibrant energy. If you do this, you'll lose weight. If you buy a bigger TV, you'll have a really awesome Super Bowl party. I thought, what made a party fun, any party, is the people who are there. I know my friends. I have fun with them no matter what the occasion is. I don't need anything special. We are conditioned to look for life where there is death. It's part of our wiring. Politicians. I've heard so many politicians down through I guess they make this promise less these days than they used to. I'm going to run a clean campaign. I'm going to run on principles. I'm going to stay positive. Well, how quickly do they go negative? Because you only need to hear it once versus 7 times. It goes, vote for me because I'll be the better politician, to vote for me so that person doesn't destroy us. Why do you look for life among the dead? And then the angels at the tomb tell the women, remember. Remember what he told you. Remember that he said back in Galilee that he has to go to Jerusalem. He has to be put on trial. He has to be put to death. And on the third day, rise again. What's the opposite of remember? What's the opposite of remember? Forget. And that is true. But if you look at the word linguistically, remember, the opposite to remember, to put the members back together, the opposite of remember is dismember. Dismember. That when we hear that bad news, when we hear that lion roar, we go into a state of dismember. We go to survival mode. We go into panic mode. We go into anxiety mode. We forget everything else. We're dismembered from everything else except that threat to get away from it or to attack it or whatever. The women have been dismembered from the men. The women have been dismembered from Jesus. They've been dismembered from hope. All those forces out there and all those messages out there that encourage us to seek life where there is death, do it by dismembering us from each other and dismembering ourselves from ourselves. Remember. Remember. I remember something hanging up in this sanctuary. Does anybody remember something hanging up in this sanctuary? The God-sighting chain. Does anybody remember the God-sighting chain that was hanging up here? Throughout, from Pentecost Sunday to Reformation Sunday, we encouraged everyone last year to fill out God sightings. Remember what Jesus told you when he was in Galilee, that things are going to get ugly, that he's going to be put to death, and on the third day he's going to rise again. Remember. Remember what you wrote down on your slips of paper onto that God sighting chain. Remember all the ways God has blessed you and given you new life in the midst of death over this past year. Remember that you are a child of God, that you are marked with the cross of Christ forever, that you could run from the love of God, but you can't hide. Remember whose you are. Remember, be reconnected to who you are, who God has created you to be. Remember the promise that no matter what happens in this life, even death itself, we are given new life. Remember. Remember. And know joy. Remember and celebrate. Not because bad things don't happen, but in spite of bad things that happen, in spite of all the ways this world would dismember us, don't forget who you are. Child of God, God's beloved. You are precious. You are God's. And help the world remember. Amen.